pointing out my hat. And the reason why I'm making this is about self-love, right? So I've been on this path of like self-development and spirituality my whole adult life. And now I'm at a point where it's sort of becoming obvious to me that the only real help is self-help, right? And that you could watch as many videos as you want and you could follow as many people as you want to follow, and you won't really understand who you are until you understand, these kind of three things I wanted to lay out today. So, I got notes here, so forgive me, I got to just kind of go with this. It's like, if you're on the struggle bus, I mean, I drove the struggle bus for a long time. I've had some heartaches, lost my parents when I was young. Just, if you're in business for yourself, if you're an entrepreneur at all, if you're young, most of it is failing. Most of it is making mistakes and getting up and keeping going. At certain points in your life, though, 2024 being one of those points for me, um, you get the dirt knocked out of you. You just get knocked down hard. And I've had a couple years in my young old age, if you will, about mortality. So the first of these three, and I'll get to the other two relatively quickly. Number one is like your feelings, right? And as a man, feelings is not a school taught thing. Like when I was a kid, you didn't express your feelings. You got slapped in the back of the head if you cried. You toughen up, don't be a wussy, things like that. But the foundation of your whole life is your feelings. Like everything starts oftentimes with a feeling, whether it's excitement or nervousness or dread or curiosity. It's like a feeling. And in today's world, more than ever, we've never had the combination of things we have, which is an ultimate amount of distraction and a food system that kind of doesn't help us be focused or in good shape. I mean, the statistics are pretty easy to follow. And we don't really know how to care for ourselves. So, self love and the feelings that go with that. So, the foundation, number one, is the feelings that you have about yourself. Now, number two, and this is the ways to get off the struggle bus. Now, you're going to have to stay on this bus for a little while. It's a bumpy ride, but you will get off. Um, your inner world, our inner world, is our outer world. And this took me a super long time to grasp and to embody and to really believe that what I thought about on the inside manifests on the outside. And that word manifest is very interesting because it's just create, like what we think about in our day to day, eventually is like the bricks we're laying for the future, whether we're like laying them in a sequence on a foundation or putting them in a proper order so we could build stuff on top of it. Nobody ever taught me that. And it wasn't until, I failed a bunch of times that I realized, like, what are my beliefs about myself? What are my beliefs about my ability to be a good parent, to run a good business, to be a good member of a community, things like that. And if we have a lot of bad thoughts or negative thoughts or just thoughts that we've been trained year in, year out, why we're not like lovable, we're not good enough, and all these negative kind of based stuff, you're going to find yourself lacking for sure. Because like it's really kind of like how you treat yourself on the inside is kind of what you magnetize on the outside. I'll get a little bit more into that in a little bit later. But one key little tool skill is observe, not absorb. And someone wise said this to me: if you're able to sort of see yourself, right? Like observe yourself in your situation right now. Like just pretend like we're on a film set and we're like looking at the main character, which is you. And the director is like like how do I get inside this actor's head so we get the shot that we want? So the director, which is sort of like from this perspective of watching the scene that's happening, can give advice to the actor, right? Now maybe the writer is over here like, yeah, that's not how I want that to go. Oh, I kind of wanted it to go this way. The director kind of computes that and then puts it into a language that the actor can understand, but often through an emotion. Hey, listen, Kev, this is not like you're not angry right here. You're frustrated and you're also disappointed because this person, yeah, you could play on the anger part, but they really like, they betrayed you or they let you down. Like whatever that core feeling is that you need to unlock, the feeling that's really there. Because I'll say it in the simplest way, like the ocean, right? If you think about the ocean and the level of the ocean, what's above is air. And that's like our conscious thoughts. And then you have like what's below, and that's water, and that's our subconscious thoughts. So like if you're up in the air and you could be on a bullhorn yelling, if you're down below the water a certain distance, you're not going to hear anything. So our subconscious and our conscious thoughts are also sort of part of this mix. So we'll kind of get into that a little bit more because this isn't like a one and done kind of thing. Subconscious thoughts, the things that are below the surface, are things that were like at our core, like our childhood. And this is the stuff like when we're like watching mom and dad and like when you're like 2 years old, or those sort of thoughts and those beliefs about life are really what we're talking about. So I don't want to like spend too much time on this, but you got to really be easy, on this journey and on this path. Be easy on yourself, because it's really easy to sort of beat yourself up for the things you don't know. And we're at a time where this is going to get easier because a lot of people are doing this. So there's a lot more people having these types of experiences where like, hey, I want to get off the struggle bus, like, and we're sort of squadding up, or people are, linking up and doing things together and just being together, or just talking and having accountability, or even just somebody to share your stuff with who's not your family or your friends, because they can often be very judgy. So number three, um, how to get off the struggle bus. This is the third and final one that I want to go over today. The word suffering. If you go back into etymology and the study of words and their origins and stuff, the original meaning of suffer or suffering is to actually just undergo something like a difficult time. And a lot of us that are entrepreneurial minded do things that are very difficult. They're hard to do. And statistically speaking, you're not going to win. You're going to fail. And still we do it. And then when we fail, we're like shocked. It's a very strange phenomenon. I have suffered from this or observed this in myself for a long time. But 95% of it is failure. So actually, now I'm starting to think like, well, if I'm doing something hard, that's actually a positive thing, because that means I'm getting like incrementally closer to something that I really want. Because I know this reality, my day to day right now, I don't want that. I know this sucks. There's not enough cash coming in, and there's this cash going out. And my level of happiness is dictated somewhat by our bank account levels. Let's be real. You know, I had a phrase I used to say a lot, like all the good things in life are free, yeah. Um, but everything else costs money, you know? And it's a hostile planet. Like, we got to pay to live here. And if you're at that point in life where you're like, I'm ready to focus, whether you're 22 or 52 or 102, it really doesn't matter, because we don't take the money with us, but it does create the landscape for our feelings, right? So if you can achieve more or less, maybe you're working too much. Maybe this video finds you where you're just like, ugh, I work 80 hours a week and I hate my life. The whole point of this is to get off the struggle part and recognize the positive things. So really, if we look at those three things, I just wanted to go over like simpler versions of what I found to be super helpful on this path. as we build better skills to become better people. And I think it's really important to frame things in the right way with some uniqueness and originality. So I hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one.